Hi, everybody. I'm coming to you in my teacher persona today. This is Mrs. Rose. And I want to tell you about my kids that I teach. I teach writing to about fourth grade to eighth grade right now. And we're working on a strengths articulation project in my classes. I tell the kids we're going to make a presentation about your awesomeness. And they take that in. That's okay with them. And then I ask them to start by making a list of experiences they've had where they did something, they enjoyed doing it, and they felt proud of it. And that's it. It's that simple. Make a list of things you did, you enjoyed, and you felt proud of. Now, I almost feel like I can see little Rolodexes spinning behind their little eyes, looking for times they got an A, or they won, or they were praised. And then I see, more often than not, a little bit of sadness or emptiness arise. And then I encourage them by saying, I want you to think about it, not through the eyes of a grown-up, but through your own eyes. I want you to think about it like a kid. Now, these kids are amazing kids. They are immigrants and the children of immigrants for the most part. So many of them speak two languages and have been to places around the world. And certainly, like all kids, they have made friends, made connections, learned an enormous, impressive, unbelievable number of new things. They have taken chances, been kind, included others. They've led. The moments are certainly there, but the ability to recognize those moments from the inside may not be. And I find that moving because these are little kids, and somehow they've already learned to look outside of themselves for validation, and possibly are already on their way to losing touch with the internal cues that tell them something's going well. So they look at grades, wins, getting in trouble, being the best, and other external cues rather than looking at what it feels like from the inside. Something happens when children learn to only look at external cues and don't ask themselves questions like, did I enjoy that? Was I feeling good when that was happening? And when they lose touch with that as meaningful evidence, it's meaningful evidence about who they are. I think this happens really early, maybe around second grade, because I've observed a shift around first grade from drawing out skills to around second grade beginning to evaluate around norms. And I think children learn to be valuing evaluation and don't learn to articulate themselves and their feelings and internal ways of knowing. They lose their subjective authority. And that subjective authority is the right to say, I was there, I know what happened, I know how I felt. We're asking kids to become, in the PIP way of looking at things, positive identity practice, primary sources about themselves and to evaluate that source. So in this assignment, I'm asking them, what happened? What did you do? How did it feel? What were you proud of? And proud is a hard word. We learned really early on that pride can be associated with bragging or making more of yourself than someone else. And we get cautioned away from pride, but at the Positive Identity Project, we're pro pride. Not in that comparing way, but in the way of inner validation, the way that says, I have a certain feeling about a thing that tells me that something important is happening here. This is meaningful for me. This is evidence for me that I want to be attentive to. I want to make sure that I remember this. The kind of pride that recognizes effort and care and creativity and courage and persistence isn't a bragging kind of pride. It's a compass. It's authentication. It's the beginning of learning to trust internal signals, and that matters. If a child can't learn to articulate their own good experiences, then they're left at the mercy of a world that might be getting it wrong for them. Because the things that society values might not really be the things that that kid came here to share with us. So we're asking the children in this practice not to look at themselves through the eyes of others or through the eyes of an institution, but rather through their own internal experience. We're saying, come back inside. Look at what you know. Look at what you feel. And look at what you did that you can stand beside no matter what anybody else says about it. And I think that's meaningful not only for kids, because those kids grow up to be adults who also don't know how to articulate their most important, heartfelt strengths, their most meaningful moments, their most subjective authority. Actually, most of us learn to outsource our sense of self. And that's not because we don't have strengths. Strengths articulation is not positive thinking. It's not pretending or self-esteem as a slogan. It's a practice of returning to real moments and real subjective knowing. It's a way of owning times when you've been brave, resourceful, persistent, caring, steady, generous, creative. And once you can name a strength from a real moment, it's not just an idea. It's something that you can return to again and again. It's not just an affirmation that's floating in the air or that you're hoping you might become. If you repeat it often enough, it's there as evidence. You've proven it. And you know you have. So I'm hoping that these kids that I'm teaching are not going to become impressed with themselves so much as that they're becoming acquainted with themselves. They're getting to know themselves and they're getting to trust themselves. I want them to participate in creating their own identities because identity is being formed all the time. And it's such a good thing if it's formed from the inside out more than from the outside in. That's how we get unique contributions in the world, the kind that you could bring. So I'll leave you with the same question I'm asking my students. What was a time that you did something, you enjoyed doing it, and you felt proud of it? Not because someone clapped, but because you showed up, you cared, and inside you felt an alignment that can't be denied. You know it was yours to do, and you know you did it well. I hope you'll come back to yourself through this practice and like the video and share it and join the newsletter and come to the classes. The newsletter is where you can find out what's going on. All right, hope to see you soon.